Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Brian. Joining me today are,
Edgar, Edgar Duran, Paul.
And what's up? Though.
so today we're going to be talking about Backrooms. Backrooms is an indie horror film distributed by our favorite indie distributor, A24, directed by Kane Parsons, based on the viral YouTube series of the same name. The film stars Renata Reinsve and Chiwetel Ejiofor as basically a furniture salesman who kind of stumbles into an extra dimensional space. Uh, Besides that, I don't know too much about the YouTube history of this film, so I'm going to pass it on to Paul.
So, let's go into before YouTube history. Actually, let's go into more where the entire concept began. So the really in general, the idea of the backrooms started way back on 4chan. It started way back in 2019. There was a picture that was posted on 4chan of like just an isolated office-like kind of room that people were like kind of confused what it was, and really in general there was a story that also came along with it explaining that this person went into this room. Uh, they had experienced a no clip, or they were like in a weird alternate reality kind of sort of thing, where if you ended up in here, there was no escape. That spawned into a big thing then afterwards with a lot of people creating new ideas to it. Kane Parsons being the director of the film, but also one of the inspirationals that had made their story on it, released a bunch of short videos on YouTube under the
Mhm.
alias Kane Pixels. And while he didn't create the concept more so, he gave his own take on what he thought it was, with found footage moments here and there, including entities and interesting mythologies and like more details on rooms that we never seen originally. Um,
Correct.
there's a lot of times that people get confused with that and the fan made versions of the backrooms. So there's kind of two distincts that, if I ever were to go into it more, the fans added more onto the details, whereas Kane kind of left his mark there. So, while that was being worked on, um, it got so successful that it got picked up by A24, and they
Yeah.
decided to call them, and here we are.
And he's only 20 years old. Like, that's actually crazy,
Fun
Like,
fun fun fact
Kane Parsons.
actually, Kane Parsons was 17 actually when this movie got first announced.
correct.
He was in high school when he got announced. He got called by James Wan, one of the producers of the film, to help to kind of get more details on making this a possibility of a film to be happened.
Hmm.
And
Amazing. Wow. Yeah.
yeah, no, not only that. This movie has 11 producers too. Not besides James Wan, the director of The Monkey, I think Osman. They also got
Hmm.
just a lot of producers. Honestly, there's so much I
Oh,
can't even name.
Okay.
Oz Perkins, right? He
Yes, Oz
directed.
Perkins,
Uh
exactly.
huh.
Yeah.
And wait, so I have a quick question for you guys. I did because I didn't really know the story behind it before. However, I watched the footage, that was on YouTube
Yeah.
about not the fun content, his own videos. Do you have a time to watch it too?
Um, I honestly didn't decide to, because going with the idea that this movie I think was kind of suited best to not know about the entire identity of the backrooms, which once we get more into the review I will kind of give my take on that.
Hmm.
But I didn't really watch any of the YouTube shorts or series with it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I watched none of it. I didn't even know this was a thing until like a year ago. I just saw the picture of the yellow rooms and I thought, wow, that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I watched it for that, and that stuff was really cool.
Yeah. So I watched it and I can tell you that you got the same vibes like you got in the movie. So I see why they saw that it has like a great potential. I
Yeah.
think that well, I'm gonna share my opinion later, but right now we're gonna talk a little bit about the film. So this film stars, as Brian was saying, like with a owner of a store. He had some issues with alcohol, so at the beginning when he discovers the room, his therapist told that it was hallucinations related with him quitting the alcohol. Back then, he ended up bringing two employees, to check the place with him, and they went after some things that happened right in this part of the episode. We're not gonna do spoilers yet, so
Hmm.
I'm gonna go to the details later. So
Yeah.
basically they were trying to find one of the employees, and then other crazy things happened. And yeah, they were going even deeper in that room, getting lost. So I can tell you that, in my opinion, this film for claustrophobic people has to be a nightmare. Like it has to. But yeah, so okay, I think that the film was really well done, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Like, it's crazy. It's a whole different experience. I can tell you, like, I watched a bunch of horror films, and I can tell you that I never watched anything like this that I remember. But yeah, I actually enjoyed the experience. I went to the theater with no high expectative. I just went like, okay, let's see what happens, and I actually enjoyed it. Yeah. What do you think, Paul?
I want to go off again what you mentioned. Re-explain the character. There's another character in the film that is played by Renee
Oh
Rehnquist.
yeah.
It's the
Hmm.
therapist. Her name is Mary, and her story kind of also is played alongside Clark's story as we see throughout the film.
Correct.
She's Clark's therapist in the sense of way, and as she already gets to see what when she sees Clark experience through these sort of hallucinations that she assumes that he's having due to the alcohol, and the fact that he goes missing, she then decides to go into the back rooms or goes into the store and discovers the entire back rooms herself. Then discovering that Clark was kind of right on this sort of thing. Um, before even what I will love to, I will get into spoilers as well later in this episode because there's
Hmm.
so much gonna give detail on this film. But when I first went to see it for the first time, again, I had not watched any of the short episodes actually for the Backrooms. I had known about the concept, and me and a couple friends of mine have always memed on the idea of the Backrooms. It's kind of one of our like due diligent jokes that we always keep on each other. And watching it, it was interesting. Really love the classic horror vibes that the movie gives. I love the visual effects and
Different.
like the editing onto that. Like, there's a lot of stuff this movie does that gets under your skin and it makes you feel a certain way. Um, Chiwetel is a great as Clark, given
Yeah,
this story of a guy who just is going through something while also discovering something that also makes him feel like he's going through another bigger thing, and so you don't kind of understand that. But I want to save so much more of my comments for the spoiler section because I deeply rather
Hmm.
go into it more with spoilers. What do you think of
Yes.
it, Brian?
Okay, so without spoilers, I think I'm probably a little less positive on it.
Mm,
I enjoyed the film overall. I think like the found footage segments, like without spoiling what happens,
mm-hmm.
but that one that's like 15 minutes in the middle, that one is incredible, right? Like
Yeah.
Yep.
he he's going to, with his employees, that one is so good. Um,
Hmm.
I think like the narrative itself, I'm not like super hot on.
Hmm.
I do think Kane Parsons shows like a lot of potential. And also he's like 20 years old. It's better than
Correct.
any movie I made at 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I have a lot of admiration for it. And I think at the end of the day, it is like an enjoyable horror movie. It's very unique for a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Because I mean, a lot of it is played very like straight, like there are scenes where they're just like, like in a house or in like the furniture store that are not scary at all. They're just,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
played straight, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, I'll have more to say on the spoilers.
Yeah, and I think that also what adds a lot to this film is the fact of the set design in those parts plus the cinematography. I think
Mm-hmm.
that it keeps you the same vibes, like the lights and all the yellow walls were like, okay, I don't know, you were not there, but you were feeling the same anxiety that probably the characters were
Mm-hmm.
experimenting. So I think that they did it really well. The editing was great, as you mentioned, Paul. I think that like it's a different concept. I don't know if I will enjoy another film with the same concept, honestly, because it's so different that it was what Brian was saying. I think that the story itself, might have some little uh, weaker points in my opinion, but like again, and the concept being something different. Was enjoyable for me. I think that it was a great film, honestly. Yeah. So, uh, what do you think about the characters?
Uh, uh, Clark is a lot. Clark is, as we mentioned like multiple times, he's an alcoholic. He has his issues.
I'm so sorry, Paul, if I can
Yeah,
interrupt you for a second. We're going spoilers now, then, right?
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're definitely going
Okay.
spoilers. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I want to go for real quick back to the visual effects on that because I like that you mentioned it. Because so some pre-production details. Originally, the entirety of the backgrounds was made on Blender, and Parsons was able to get like was
Correct.
him being able to get like a big sound design, a big studio stage to work on each room, and having like a lot of handymen come in and work on that was just amazing. There's images where he's also like editing the film. He's also an editor of the film, and he's there just
Wow,
yeah. So he's there
I
editing the
didn't know
film,
that.
and he's just like sitting in the back rooms in like a whole like white yellow suit. So I'm also guessing he cameoed in the film as well. Um, I I really love the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, two characters I do love in this film are the idea of these figures that you see when Clark goes into this one room. In the film, he enters like a red room, and there's a Christmas tree there, and
Yeah, that's
alongside
pretty
that,
yeah.
Yeah,
alongside you see like some weird people creatures, and
weird.
and so going into details on here with I'll get into spoiler access. So these are supposed to be people that Clark remembers had walked into the store, and while the brain didn't recognize who their face is, it kind of really detailed what they were, what their body was, how did they come in that day, and so going on like if I were to say what I like about this film a lot. The movie on second viewing, you see kind of an understanding of what the idea of the Backrooms is, and
Mm-hmm.
why like a lot of times like why I think at first and everybody doesn't feel kind of all there according to what you two have gone and said already, but through second viewings you understand it more and more. It's a story where you have to like really understand it from that, but also from like another side of what characters are going through.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Mhm.
so I want to ask something really quick. So, you know that one of the first thing he basically is find like a weird rag interactor. So he click on that, and do you think that that was like the opening of the backrooms, or not? Nothing related with that.
I don't think it was because even during the rewatches, I already was going with the idea that it's been there, and with characters like a character in the film named Phil that we see, like it's the fact that has been there since even before he had come in, and
Mm-hmm.
us not seeing that switch or even him seeing that switch be there also adds more of a mysterious note of like so like when was this entire place made or created?
Uh huh.
So I wouldn't say it was there to begin with, or like it opened it, but like more so that we didn't know what it was, but there was something hidden to it that elevated the character to be curious about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Makes
And
sense.
you, Brian, what do you think?
Of the characters, yeah, I think that this is probably where I diverge from you guys a little bit.
Mm.
Um, for me, like the strong parts of the movie are like the like you said, Edgar, the production design. You know how
Mm-hmm.
everything fits together, like the visual effects, like the way they stitched some of those long
Yeah.
shots together. Like that stuff is really impressive. I feel like with Chiwetel's character, his name is Clark, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like in the first half, I really loved his character. Um, I'm not. I'm usually just not a fan of like when the character arc is like off screen. So like, so we're in spoilers, right? But
Hmm.
he gets trapped in the back rooms, right?
Correct.
That's
Yes.
just like the scariest part of the movie. It's so good.
Uh-huh.
But when the therapist goes to like rescue him, he has lost his mind. Like it's so, like he's cooked. It's so bad for him.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know if I was like huge on the way that they did it. Like, because that kind of happens off screen. Like, if you think about it, the last time you see him before that, he's like trying to help, his employee, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the very next scene you see of him, he's trying to trap, his therapist.
I do agree with you on that too. During my first viewing, I was hesitant on the second act of the film. I think more so how not pacing wise, but given us sort of like there was something to I didn't get, but then when I rewatched it, like I said, I do agree with that out of nowhere a character arc that he has, that switch up he has, and like there could have been something. I do agree with you on that. I do
Hmm.
think though there's something else that's on it that I think makes it serve better for us not to know or even see that, which I'm gonna go more into detail
Yeah.
in a bit later here
Uh-huh.
because the film itself has an interesting message and an interesting concept of the backrooms that I want to literally kind of give my perspective on for you two.
Uh-huh.
But like going on off of it, like yeah, like I do kind of agree with you on that, Brian.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think that also I wanted to add something else. I think that the characters complement each other really well. Like the main characters,
But yeah.
the therapist, um, Clark, everybody. I think that work really well in the dynamic. Uh, however, one of the parts that I think that is gonna complement what you're gonna say at the end, that I wanted to ask you guys is like, how do you interpret the end? Like, it was weird because did she actually escape? She's
I
still
think so.
there.
I think so. So if we're just going based off what we see and what we know, the Backrooms is like it's like AI, right? Like it takes something
Hmm.
and it turns it into slop or whatever. So
Correct.
I think what we're seeing in that final shot of Mary the therapist, I think that's like the slot version of her. But like I do think we saw the real version escape, right?
Correct.
Because she's talking to like the scientist, like the agency. I can't remember the name, guys.
Yeah.
Async
Uh,
was the name of the agency.
Async. Okay, so
Yes.
she's talking to that guy. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be real. So I think she escaped. I hope she escaped. I hope so.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
And if she didn't escape, that would be crazy because that would means that we're gonna have a second part.
yeah, they could. Or they could do they could do so many things with the second part. I kind of, just personally, I want Kane Parsons to kind of to figure out, like another original film, like
Correct.
maybe Backrooms 2 later or something, but maybe let's see what he can do besides Backrooms,
Hmm.
you know, and also, but like if we were doing Backrooms 2, what I would assume is that the therapist, she joins the company Async,
Hmm.
and then the next thing is like the next movie is like Aliens. It's like the agency, they're going into the back rooms and they're trying to get some stuff.
That would be really cool, actually.
Yep. Get me on Kane Parsons. I'm a writer, please.
I want to hear what you think of it first, Edgar, because I need your two perspectives before I conclude mine.
Okay.
Well, first time, when I
Mhm.
left the theater, I told that she didn't escape. And I don't know, like I felt like she got trapped there. The people that were actually helping her were not doing it for real. They were experimenting. They were using that kind of people to experiment instead of helping, in my opinion, when I watched it there. But then
Oh,
when I
I didn't think about that. Like when she meets the agency people, like she's still in the back rooms. You mean?
correct, correct.
Okay, I didn't think about that. Yeah, maybe.
That's why, like, I wasn't sure back then when I left. I keep thinking about it, and I think that maybe she's capable. What you're saying, like you saw it on spring and everything, and then the last shot that we got, the other version was, like a copy of her, because she left the backrooms, as happened with Clark too. Like is what I thought. Then like I'm not sure about the ending. That's what I really wanted
Mhm.
to ask you guys to see if I could get more orientated.
Mhm.
What do you think, Paul?
Okay, so I do love both of your interpretations. I do think that she didn't escape, but she's trapped within A6 Corporation. So I
Uh-huh.
do wanna correct Brian on a bit here, but not correct him. So the Async company, the Asyncs have been into the background before. One of the characters, Phil, when he has the conversation with the therapist, with with Mary, he informs her that like, oh, we are trying to figure out what this place is. We keep going into it more and more. So it already gives a detail that these people have already been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a glimpse of a doorway when Mary's walking with them into a room, and you see the entity that's supposed to be Clark's like suit his store like mascot being
Yeah,
experimented on, checked on. Before after that, there's a glimpse of a door, and it's a bunch of mannequin statues or like paper statues of the same guy you see during like the beginning of the
Correct.
film when Clark goes in. So it gives more detail that these guys have been doing this before even Mary and Clark. They've been looking into it
Mm-hmm.
more and more, and why like that thing keeps welcome and whatever comes in to the place itself. I do think she did it in Scape, but I do think she has. It's kind of conflicting because
Yeah.
going because I want to go back to the fact that like I mentioned that the still figures, I call them the still figures. They probably have a different name in the film. That
Mm-hmm.
these are supposed to be memories of people that Clark knows is seen, and yet we don't know what they look like officially, but their body is there and everything's like replicated from like even the guy in the wheelchair to the girl with the red hair was supposed to be Clark's wife, which ensues why in the
Mm-hmm.
table scene like he's there kind of reacting to her in a sort of way, why he scalps her hair off. There's a lot of meaning towards that. The AI thing kind of, but in better terms to explain it, the backrooms is like this neurological part of the brain where
Mm-hmm.
comfort kind of makes you feel like you're calm at ease, but the more you get comfortable to the place, the more you start to go crazy and hairwire. So like the still figures make that sense. Clark's the entity that looks like Clark is supposed to be a take on the side of you when you go full on psychically like more crazy. Why it's
Mm-hmm.
why when Clark goes to it and he's like, "Hey, look, don't worry, we're we're fine." She tells him we don't have to change. The entire idea of the backrooms serves as comfortability, and when what happens when someone decides to never change and just stays in the same place and never thinks about what happens when I stay here. And so that like
Okay.
that second rewatch and the third rewatch, it's like when you rewatch it more and more psychologically, that's like kind of a big thing you have to keep an eye on. It's how these characters react. You mentioned how Mary and Clark they've been like they worked so well. The actor and the actress worked so well,
Yeah.
and looking back into that acting, like that, those two characters serve so well to give a bigger sense on the background.
Mm-hmm.
Why also Phil is kind of like so surprised by it because he's looking into the scientific and psychological aspect of that place. I do she escaped. However, that don't the Mary we see at the end of the film could be the backrooms remembrance of Mary. It's either like that, but never fully got the glimpse of her face because while she was there tied, she tried to leave as quickly as possible. There is confirmation though on a sequel. Parsons has already confirmed that the sequel is being worked on, and I want to add on to it because async wasn't mentioned a lot in this film, and I think that's where the sequel is going to take us to more, giving us the detail on the company who's async. They were never mentioned in the short films at all as well. Due to research, when I went to research, and
Correct.
they were never mentioned anywhere in the short films, but there were glimpses of them. So the sequel might give us more details as to who they are, how do they find this place, more into like the aspect of it, and what about this creature can it also shape? Because it looks like the creature can also shake its shape into anything that it deems that's being owned by that place or whoever enters it or allows it to let their mental space kind of give it access to it. So
Okay.
yeah,
and there is a commentary in AI though. There is moments where like the still figures, like AI, you could literally like do a deepfake or do like a recreation of someone in AI, and it doesn't even know what the frick they look like. I mean, Will Smith eating spaghetti is like one of the most memeable
Mhm.
AI things of all time. But like when you see
yes.
that redone, it's like wow, like it got big. It is a big commentary though on AI, and it's a bigger commentary also on
So,
psychological.
so I wanted to know, guys, before we conclude, what's your final rating for this film and your final thoughts about the film?
Mine is gonna sound harsh, but it's in the interest of honesty. For me, 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5.
Same,
Okay.
same.
And the reason I say that is just because an important takeaway I don't think a lot of people are having is that, or they're having it for the wrong reason, is that Kane Parsons he's 20 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the first film he's ever directed, and I think as well made as it is, it still shows, right? He has a long
Mm-hmm.
way to go, and he has a lot of potential for sure. But it's also still the first film he's ever directed. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some growing pains in it that I think are going to be smoothed out the more films he makes,
Correct.
projects he makes. But it's still a really good time. Like the honestly, if I could just rate one part of it that like that 15-minute stretch where the employees get killed and like Clark is just running through shit. That part would be like 5 out of 5 for me. That part was so good. I love that part.
I wouldn't know why you gave it a 3 out of 5 though, Edgar.
Technically, I really like the concept because it's something
Mhm.
completely different for everything that I watched before. However, the story itself, I think that has some weak points that I didn't really like. Uh, I watched it keeping in mind that it was a 20 years old director. I knew the story, and it's like, okay, I understand certain mistakes, but I think that just knowing all the other things that work really well in this film, I think that you got a huge potential to do something even better. I'm not saying that is not a critique. Probably the second film is insane because he
Yeah.
learned from all the mistakes and he can actually do like even a better version of this.
Mhm.
However, in this version, there were some parts that I really didn't. Not that I didn't like it. It's just that I felt like that the
Uh-huh.
energy were like
Yeah.
this, and then it kept in the same
Very,
level.
very, very fair.
And what
Okay.
about you, Paul?
So I want to ask you two some questions. How old are you, Brian?
I'm 22.
How old were you when you started the program?
Yeah, I was 19.
How
Yeah.
about you, Edgar? How old are you right now?
I'm 24.
How about when you started the program?
Uh, 20.
Edgar, you're unk, bro. You're unk, dude.
Drunk. I'm gonna first go in and say this movie's a 4.5 out of 5 for me.
Okay.
Wow.
Story, I do agree with story being weak. However, when it comes to the fact of a 20-year-old directing this, I never gave one rat's butt about it being a 20-year-old. I saw it as a person giving their story and their take on something while giving us less. Less is better than giving us so much. I love this film. There's moments where it gives you creepiness, moments where it gives you kind of like a what the frick, and there's times where you're like, what the hell am I watching? It's like three mixed reactions.
Yeah.
Production design is great on this movie. The
Right.
actors and
Yeah.
actresses'
Yeah.
performance is really well done. The third act I love a lot, but I also dislike a lot. But I even have
Yeah.
issues with it. But like the chase happening during that third act is amazing. The movie has a good, well job of pacing, which I've heard people say they didn't like the pacing of this film. I love it, especially when you're going into a movie that you're gonna be immersed into by straight up the idea of not knowing what it is. You can't record a scene where someone just discovers something for the first time and have it be rushed, because
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
breaks immersion. Parsons was able to make a scene like that to have us feel the same way that Clark was feeling. This movie is a 4 for 5 because it breaks so much expectations for me, and while not knowing a lot of the concept of the backrooms or like knowing a little bit
Mhm.
of it, it makes me want to look more into it and excited to what the sequel does or what Parson does as a director.
Correct.
But he does have experience though. He's worked on this since YouTube. And I think age doesn't matter on the artist or the creator. It's how the brain and the mind of the creator expels these pieces of media. If you look at age as a sort of thing that ties it down, or in general, like just look at that and then try not to still appreciate it, it's more so that you have to stop looking at numbers and look at creativity. It's why Kane
Correct.
Parsons made a film that really also secretly tackles AI and how AI is meaningless, and why a bunch of students who are graduating are also saying how AI is this the spawn of Satan, is the new thing that's gonna kill all of us. In general, take away what we like to do. And I still am down hands down with saying it as well.
Mhm.
And that's what the Backrooms is. It's a film that tackles real world subjects in a way where
Mhm.
it makes you question it. And these people are the guys who want to look more into it and ignore that. Async is a productivity of the MAGA people, or in general
Yeah.
anyone who tries to look into more of like corporational stuff. And we as
Yeah.
the characters are trying to discover more about it and try to like break that stigma of
Correct.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I
I
think that is very fair. Your opinion. I think
mhm,
that we got like a good balance here. Like
exactly.
uh, we got like similar vibes from the film. You like it because it's what I'm saying. Like I
Oh,
feel that is like a content that might connect a little bit more with certain people, a little bit less with other people.
oh
I
Yeah.
yeah.
think
It's a
that
I also do think
it depends.
I do think that it's a content that is best to also be looked more into, because
Yes.
I do think people need when you watch something, and I do think this, and this is heavily also known for all filmmakers, heavily being invested into something brings more sense of art, and that's literally just like why I'm
Yes.
repeating myself on that. So if you rewatch the Backrooms, your brain also wires more to what these concepts are, And if you're someone who has gone through these sort of things, you're gonna know why these characters go through these sort of things, or you're gonna see tidbits that again go back to modern times or psychological stuff. I'd still say Obsession is better, but this movie is really good for like just one of Kane Parsons' first ever directorial cinematic films, and I
Yeah,
wish him
fair enough.
so much luck for that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're right. He's a really cool guy.
Yes,
He's
he is.
interesting.
So, well, guys, thank you so much for this episode. I think that was very interesting.
You're, you're
Well, I'm definitely gonna go into the back rooms, guys. So
gonna
take
do
care.
it, Edgar.
Bye.
Fine.
Thank you.
Bye.